Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to do my reactions to the Overwatch League All-Stars 2020 event, rosters, all that kind of stuff. I want to just kind of go through my opinions on it real quickly. Here's a general overview of it. As you can see here, Saturday, September 26th, 1 to 7 a.m. Pacific. For the Asian All-Stars, and then for North America, it's Saturday, October 3rd, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific. A lot of stuff going on in the Asia one, which is not too surprising, because there's a lot more events, and you can kind of see a general overview of the events here. There's a lot more going on with the Asia one, and I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that there's a lot of players over there right now, but we'll talk about that in a second. Before I look at the rosters, I just want to real quick talk about the legendary skins. If you didn't see the skins, here's a little small look at them, but I'll link to this video in the comments down below where they talk about the skins. You have Celestial Diva and Gaia Reinhardt. They are really good skins. I think every All-Star skin they've ever put out has been great. These ones are no exception. Let's take a look at the All-Star rosters. There are two different groups, as you can see. There's Asia and there is North America. And I want to read this little blurb here because it explains a couple of things. All-Stars are selected based on fan voting and were adjusted to give each team at least one All-Star representative. We've expanded the number of players to 8 per role, tank, damage, support, in All-Stars Asia to include several players who competed in North America and are now returning home to Asia. Additionally, we have a few players who elected to compete in the All-Stars NA event who are in South Korea for the Grand Finals Championship matches. We have additional All-Star players. We have added additional All-Star players to impacted roles as needed to ensure there's enough players available for all All-Stars matches. I'm struggling to speak, but essentially what this is saying is that you will see players in Asia who are playing, who were on teams playing in North America who have since returned home. So, for example, a player like Decay obviously played for Dallas and Washington Justice this season, but is playing in the Asia All-Stars because he was in North America and has returned to Asia, returned to South Korea to be home. And there's some players that are in Asia right now, but that are playing in North America because they are North American players, European players. So let's look at Asia first. We can see the coaches are Jin from the Guangzhou Charge and Moon from the Shanghai Dragons. So let's do the Asia All-Stars. I don't disagree with any of the tank selections. You have Choi, Fearless, Among, Void, Mono, Hanbin, Gushui, and Krong. The top main tanks, definitely. I mean, there's no Smurf or Sato, who you could definitely argue should be on this list, but Fearless has had a great season. Among, he does what he does. Mono's had a great season, though not his best season, and Gushui is just such a star player. At the end of the day, All-Stars is also not necessarily just the best players, always fan favorites as well. So, some interesting players here. I think it's all good for the tanks. As we move on to the damage rolls, you have Fleta, Decay, Prophet, Once, Glister, Haksal, Yaki, and Carpe. The MVP, Fleta, of course, playing here as one of the All-Stars. No surprises here either. The fact that they said 1 per team obviously means that you're going to have players who are maybe getting in over some other players who are maybe more deserving, who aren't there. Like, for example, no Birdering on this list. I don't know if Birdering is in Asia or not. I think he is, but I don't see him obviously on this list, which is a little unfortunate, but, it is what it is. No one really surprising here for the damage players. All of these players had great seasons. Haksal maybe arguably had the weakest season of any of the players here, but it's Haksal. You can't have an All-Stars event without Haksal. Finally, for the supports, Myeonbong, Violet, Alarm, Lee Jae-gon, Shu, Jonak, Toby, and Izayaki. Myeonbong, of course, was the best part of this Boston Uprising team this past season. He was incredible all year. Jerry had some good performances as well, but Myeonbong was consistent and he was very, very good. So, huge shout out to him for making it to the All-Stars. I hope we see some more Myeonbong performances in the future when he's on a better team or the Boston Uprising build more around him. But a really great player Yunbong is. So glad to see him here alongside some really big names when it comes to flex supports. Violet, Alarm, Izayaki, Jonak, Shu. I mean, only 2 main supports made the All-Stars for this region. It's Lee Jae-gon and Toby. And that says a lot. I think there's a lot of really good performances from flex supports this year. So I like seeing this. It's unfortunate to see that there's only 2 Chinese players here, and it's Among and Gushui. So it is unfortunate in that regard, but there's so many players in Asia that are South Korean, and also the majority of players in the league are South Korean, or at least the plurality of players in the league are South Korean. But I believe it's a majority, so it's not surprising. But a good lineup here for the tanks and the Asia region. I don't know why I said just the tanks. Asia in general got a good lineup. So one in North America where there are some names here and some positions that I'm a huge fan of. So, as I mentioned before, there are going to be some players who choose to play in North America despite being in Korea. So you can see Super and Poco on here, who are currently in South Korea because they are there for Grand Finals, but they are playing in North America. The coaches for this, you have KDG from Philadelphia and Kuki of the Florida Mayhem. But for the tanks, you have Super, Space, Ben Best, McGravy, Hydration, Nevix, and Poco. The fact that Hydration's on here as a tank is funny, but it makes sense for him to be here. He had a decent year, and a lot of fans for the Outlaws, so not too surprising. Super and Poco, I'm sure they'll have a great time playing from 200 ping, but hey, it's All-Stars. Just for fun to play with some of your friends. DPS, we have Shockwave, Soon, KSP, Dante, Agilities, and Nico. I think Sparkle wasn't even up here, which is surprising. Maybe a bit of a missed player there, but Soon and Nico have had good years, so good to see them. Agilities, Dante, of course KSP. I'm excited to see KSP. We'll talk more about KSP in a little bit. And support players, Dogman, Crimzo, Jexa, Kariv, Moth, FD God, and Funny Astro. I'm really happy to see Jexa and Kariv here. I'm surprised that both of them are still in North America. Kariv, not as much. Jexa, very surprised. I'm sure they will go back to South Korea. They may just be sticking around for a little bit longer. Maybe the team wanted them to. Maybe the players wanted to. I don't really know for sure, but a lot of interesting players here. So nothing too crazy with the All-Star. No selection that has me just really scratching my head. Though, I might... Am I crazy, or are there more players representing Asia than there are North America? There definitely are. There's a lot more players in Asia, though, and there's a lot more events for Asia, so it doesn't surprise me that much. Let's talk about the events, though, because the events are really, really cool. So here are just the general All-Star Game like format. This is just the 6v6 All-Star Game where you have the players up against each other. So the coaches will draft among the 18 players at each All-Star event to field 2 teams that will play a 6v6 match in a 3-map set. In the event of a tie, an additional map will be played. So map 1, standard competitive 6v6 on a hybrid map. Map 2, the teams pick the opponent roster and play on an escort map. For this map, each team will submit 6 heroes for a 2-2-2 comp to be played by the opposing team. Players will not be required to play their traditional roles. Map 3 will be a tiny Overwatch workshop mode where all players start off with tiny character models but begin to grow in size as they do damage and healing using a control map. And then map 4, tiebreaker if needed, is all damage, all tank, or all support on a 1-to-2 control maps, and each round of the map will feature all players playing one specific role. So the All-Star Game is going to be dumb and goofy and silly, and I'm all in for it. I think that's really, really cool and really, really exciting. The Widowmaker 1v1 presented by State Farm. It's back. It's back. It's back, as always. I love the Widowmaker 1v1. It is the best part of the All-Star weekend for me. I always think it's so fun just to watch. So this year, it's a little different in terms of format, so I want to talk about it, break it down a little bit, show you it, because it's cool, and I think it's actually better in some ways and not as good in some. So For the Widowmaker 1v1, 8 players were invited to participate in a single elimination tournament, and that's 8 players per region. So the way it works is that seeding will be randomly drawn. The matches are first to 5, except for the final, which is first to 9. The rules are headshots only, no assault rifle, no capture point. Opposition revealed after 60 seconds. A round ends in a draw and is reset after 5 minutes if there's no elim. No kill camera, and crouching limited to 2 crouches per second. That's an oddly specific rule, and I don't know if that's something that will in-game be, like, put in place. But, you know, it it is something. So that is there. And then the maps, of course, Castillo, then Eco Point Antarctica, and then the Necropolis. So, in Asia, we have Fitz, Glister, Carpe, Happy, Godsby, Bacon Jack, DM, and Aunts. Oh my word. This is going to be so good. Like, I'm pretty sure it's always been 8 players, so that's not, like, new. But it's usually, it's 8 players separated by division, 4 per division. Now it's just like, we're just taking 8 players, throwing them together. And, like, this is just Asia. Fitz, Glister, Carpe, Happy, Godsby, Bacon Jack, DM, and Aunts. It's such a good group in Asia. So I'm really excited for this one. DM won last year's, so keep an eye out for him. Happy's really good, obviously. DM's really good. Aunts is really good. These are all really good Widowmaker players, so I'm excited to see how that one goes. North America, it's Logix, Lynxer, KSP, Shockwave, Onigod, Soon, Color Hex, and Dalton. So another interesting group here. Logix, of course, was incredible this season. KSP was like one of the best damage players this season, so I'd expect him to do very well. Shockwave has been a fun player to watch. This is a good group of players that they have here. I remember Lynxer back in 2018 had like the best win percent in Widowmaker duels, so he's always a threat, and he was playing really well late in the season, so I think both of these Widowmaker 1v1s are going to be great, and we get 2 of them. We get 2 different Widowmaker 1v1s. Like, it doesn't get better than having 2 of the best thing that AllStars has. I'm so excited. Then, of course, you have the talent Takedown, which is one of my favorite things as well. I think these are more fun than just the actual matches, because like the actual matches are silly and funny, but these are just like, let's just throw the talent in, and they're just going to do weird stuff. So, Asia, there's two talent teams, the China group and the South Korea group, and they'll play in a 6v6 match in a 2-map set. At the beginning of each map, one of the teams will choose a buff that will be applied to the current map and secretly shared with the viewing audience, which is interesting. So the following buffs are available and can only be used once. Total Mayhem, Low Movement Gravity, Double Damage, and Mystery Heroes. So that'll be fun to see. For the China talent, you have Vivi, Juduo, Peach, YXL, Roy, and Time. And for the South Korean talent, you have Yongbong Tang, Hyun Sung Hong, Ryu Jae Hong, Akaros, Jisoo Sim, and the Marine. So Jae Hong in as a talent. I don't know if he's been doing interviews or whatnot. I don't know if he's like a desk analyst or anything in Korea. I have no idea, but I'm glad that we get to see him in some capacity. We go to North America. It's a little bit different, as you can see. It is a 6v6 competition across a 3-map set, so it'll be map 1 featuring Genji and Tracer on Hollywood, Kings Row, or Blizzard World, so I guess they have to play as those 2 heroes at least. Then map 2 is Goats on Rialto, Havana, and Route 66. Map 3 will feature Widowmaker and Tracer on Ilios, Lijiang Tower, and Busan. And then map 4, if needed, Tiebreaker with just standard competitive rules. And the talent for this one, we have ZP, Bren, Frankie, Jaws, Jake, Reinforce, Sideshow, Mr. X, Uber, Hex, Custa, and Zoe. So I love the NA talent group, and I think that this is going to be complete chaos, and it's going to be absolutely one of the most bizarre and odd and weird things we will have ever seen. And it's always just a really dumb banter, and of course the Widowmaker might come out, so I'm excited to see this, because I just want to see what happens with all of these talent and what they manage to do, because it's a good time when people have fun and mess around. So I'm excited for that. Moving on to the things that will only be played at All-Star Asia, these are so good. And this is what I think is going to make All-Star Asia so great and really entertaining. And so this, for me, is what's going to make this All-Stars weekend better than the previous ones. The Winston Skills Challenge. I'm so excited for this. This one has me unreasonably excited. 4 players will compete in a 1v1 single elimination tournament. The goal is simple: be the first Winston to push a neutral wrecking ball into the Ilios well. Winston players have unlimited primal rage to get the job done. Each time a wrecking ball is pushed into the well, the player that did it scores a point. If a Winston pushes the wrecking ball off the map, or if a Winston falls off or gets knocked off the map, the opponent scores a point. For the 2 semifinal matches, it's a first to 2 points, the final is first to 3, and players will be seeded at random. And we have Mono, Fearless, Gesture, and Gushue. Quite possibly the 4 best Winstons in the world. Obviously, you can put Smurf up there. He's been very good, and Satos had a pretty good Winston, and OG's had a pretty good Winston. But I would argue that Mono, Fearless, Gesture, and Gushue, with the addition of Smurf, are the 5 best Winstons in the world. So we're getting 4 of the best Winstons in the world playing a Winston Skills Challenge, which is going to be really weird and random, and I love it. I just think it's going to be so good and so fun, because I love watching Winston players. I don't know why Winston is a hero I love so much. So I'm excited to see Winston, and I'm excited to see my 4 favorite Winstons in this game mode. So I'm excited. Then there's the Genji Skills Challenge. So 4 players will compete in a 1v1 single elimination tournament to determine the greatest Genji. The opening round matches are first to 3, and the final is first to 5. All matches will be played on Castillo, and a capture point will activate 45 seconds into each round. Players will be seated at random. And for this one, you have Jinmu, Haksal, Prophet, and Sparkle. So again, it's 4 really good players. Haksal was arguably the best Genji of all time. Sparkle was the best Genji this year. Prophet's Prophet. His Genji was pretty good. Jinmu is just the chaotic Genji. Once again, this is going to be so exciting just to see 4 Genjis just go at each other, and it's going to be stupid and fun, and I love it. That's why I love All-Stars so much. The Ana Skills Challenge. So this one is an Ana free-for-all. It'll be played in 2 rounds. The first round on the Black Forest will feature 9 players, with the top 4 advancing to the final on Necropolis. Each round ends when a player reaches 20 eliminations or after 5 minutes. So it'll be Mali, Bebe, Shu, Izayaki, Creative, Hylie, Jonak, Violet, and Alarm. I would have rather seen Twilight than Violet, but hey, it is what it is. This is going to be a fun one as well. Ana's a fun hero to watch, so this is going to be a cool one. Obviously, it's at night for me because it's being played in Korea, but this one will be fun, and I'm excited to see this one. A lot of really great flex supports on this one, so it's cool. And then the final game mode is Who is Meta, which is the 8 players in the Asia region with the best Fleta deadlift percentages will compete in a hero gauntlet match. A Fleta deadlift, of course, is when a player accounts for 50% or more of a team's final blows in a map win. A hero gauntlet match is a free-for-all where each player initially spawns as McCree, and each time they get an elimination, they swap into a new hero. The winner is the first player to get an elimination using a pool of 22 heroes. And this one is Leave, Sparkle, Ons, Haksal, Glister, Fleta, Birdring, and Rascal. So here's where Birdring is. This is his only game mode, I guess. It's just this one, which is a little unfortunate because he should have been an all-star in general. So this is a fun one as well, and I'm excited for this mode, especially if Fleta, MVP Fleta can pull this one off. It's interesting to see. I'm surprised Leave had one of the top 8 highest, because I didn't think he was having that type of performance this season, but I suppose he was, and I just wasn't paying enough attention. So I think Asia All-Stars will be really fun. Obviously, the additional modes are going to be really cool. I'm very excited for the Widow 1v1 this year. It's always been fun. I think this year will be the most fun we've seen. So I'm excited for it. I think All-Stars this year is going to be really great, and it's going to be a great way to get through these next couple of bye weeks. And it'll be a fun little way to distract us and keep ourselves entertained for the time being. Let me know your thoughts on the All-Stars format for 2020 in the comments down below. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, Bye bye.